Welcome to this video presentation of major equipment. We have briefly looked at the major equipment in earlier presentations, and now it is time to look at all the details. We will in this presentation look closer into commercial pattern versus military pattern, surplus of major equipment used in a self-sustainment role, major equipment under letter assist, medical modules, the generic fair market value and its connection to the non-fault incident factor, dry lease and maintenance rate, the incremental transportation factor and special case equipment. From earlier presentations, we know the major equipment in general without any details. We know the generic fair market value, but do not know the content or how it is made. We know dry lease and maintenance rate, but not how it is calculated. We know the special case, but we do not know the definition. And all this we will cover in this presentation. After this presentation, you should be able to explain the term major equipment and its connection to the self-sustainment and the letter assist. Explain how medical modules are reimbursed. Summarize the generic fair market value on major equipment and its connection to the dry lease, maintenance rate, and wet lease. Explain the term special case major equipment. The CE Manual, Chapter 3, Annex A, contains all regulations and performance standards for major equipment provided under wet lease or dry lease. The CE Manual defines major equipment as major items directly related to the unit's mission as mutually determined by the United Nations and the troop or police contributor. Major equipment is accounted for either by category or individually. Separate reimbursement rates apply for each category of major equipment. These rates include reimbursement for minor equipment and consumables that are used to support the item of major equipment. Major equipment is the equipment a troop or police contributor needs to solve its task. Statement of Unit Requirement lists the major equipment that the United Nations believe is needed in the mission. The agreed major equipment a troop police contributors will deploy to a mission is listed in the Memorandum of Understanding, Annex B. We have used a photo of a car to illustrate major equipment on this slide. The CE Manual defines minor equipment as equipment that is used to support a unit, such as catering, accommodation, non-specialist communication, engineering, and other mission-related activities. Specific accounting of minor equipment is not required. Minor equipment is divided into two categories: items designed to support major equipment and items that are directly or indirectly support personnel. Personnel-related minor equipment is covered by the rates of self-sustainment categories. Look at the photos on this slide. First aid kit, tools, jack, and spare wheel are all minor equipments to the major equipment car from the previous slide. Consumables, supplies of a general nature consumed on a routine basis. Consumables include combat supplies, general and technical stores, defense stores, ammunition and explosives, and other basic commodities that are used to support major equipment, as well as to support minor equipment and personnel. Two United Nations vehicles, both listed in the CE Manual, Chapter 8, as support vehicles, truck, utility cargo, over 5 tons, up to 10 tons. Are the vehicles identical? No. One is defined as a military pattern and one is defined as commercial pattern. Do you see which truck that is defined as military pattern? Yes, that is the one to the left. There are several visible signs on the picture. Winch in front of the vehicle, 2 radio antennas on the vehicle's right side, roof-mounted working lights, spotlights on both sides of the vehicles, and jerry cans for extra fuel. The CV Manual, Chapter 3, Annex A, describes the 11 factors in deciding whether a commercial pattern support vehicle should be reimbursed as a military pattern equivalent. And at least 7 of these factors must be met to be able to define the vehicle as a military pattern. Of course, the vehicle also has to be listed as a military pattern in the Memorandum of Understanding, Annex B, Major Equipment. Major Equipment Surplus. To meet serviceability standards, troop or police contributors have the option to maintain an additional 10% of the quantities of major equipment authorized under Memorandum of Understanding to be deployed and redeployed with the unit. The United Nations will be responsible for the associated deployment and redeployment, as well as painting and repainting costs. A troop or police contributor will not receive wet lease or dry lease reimbursement for overstocks or surplus equipment. Major equipment, and especially vehicles, need maintenance and may sometimes be non-operational over longer time. This will reduce the reimbursement to the troop police contributor. Bringing a 10% surplus or overstock of critical major equipment may keep 100% of that specific item operational at all time. Major equipment used as part of the support provided under the self-sustainment rate will not be reimbursed as major equipment, but be covered by the self-sustainment rate. Example, containers for catering or for the kitchen, engineer equipment for EOD purposes or camp maintenance, radio, satellite phones, etc. for communication, binoculars, global positioning systems for observations, etc. This specific major equipment will not be listed in the Memorandum of Understanding, Annex B. Troop or police contributors that provide medical modules will be reimbursed under both major equipment and self-sustainment. Major equipment reimbursement for the module or equipment and self-sustainment reimbursement for the use of the module or the equipment. The reimbursement for self-sustainment medical services includes medical-related minor equipment, supplies and consumables, and will be made at the rate of the self-sustainment category for the level of service provided. All medical facilities are considered as force assets and therefore are available to all members of United Nations mission. Treatment of other United Nations personnel is reimbursed under fee for service. Level 1, Level 2 and Level 3 medical facilities contains some major equipment items that are reimbursed separately as major equipment. The slide describes the most common ones. Due to the special nature of aircrafts, helicopters and vessels, their type, the quantity and the performance criteria will be stipulated separately in a letter of assist. Letter of assist is explained in another presentation, but we need to repeat one important fact. Letter of assist is a service provided and not major equipment. This means that the United Nations are not responsible for any loss or damage of any equipment or service provided under letter of assist. It is expected that the owner of the equipment used for providing such service have their own insurance on all the equipment used to provide the service. CV Manual, Chapter 8, Annex A, lists all major equipment reimbursement rates. Generic fair market value and other reimbursement rates are all agreed by the member states. We will in this slide explain all the different reimbursement rates for major equipment. The slide shows a copy from the major equipment item, trailer, light cargo, from Annex A to Chapter 8. All agreed major equipment item is listed equal to the trailer, but of course very different reimbursement rates. Generic fair market value is defined as equipment value for reimbursement purposes. It is computed as the initial purchase price plus any major capital improvements, adjusted for inflation and discounted for any prior usage, or the replacement value, whichever is less. The generic fair market value includes all items associated with the equipment in the performance of its operational role. Estimated use life in years is the expected lifetime of the equipment. No fault incident means an incident caused by an accident or a negligent conduct, but does not include acts caused by willful misconduct or gross negligence or the part of an operator or custodian of equipment. The no-fault incident factor varies from 0.1% to 1% on combat vehicles. Dry lease. We have in earlier presentations explained that dry lease is generic fair market value divided to the equipment's lifetime divided to 12 months. This is not totally correct. We also have to include the no-fault incident factor. The correct dry lease rate is the generic fair market value divided to the equipment lifetime divided to 12 months plus the generic fair market value multiplied with the no-fault incident factor divided to 12 months. If you look at our example with the light cargo trailer, you will find the calculations in details. Maintenance rate is the reimbursement rate to compensate the government for maintenance costs, comprising spare parts, contracted repair, and third and fourth line maintenance, required to keep major equipment items operational to the specific standards and to return the item to the operational conditions upon return from the mission area. Workshop equipment, maintenance workshop or warehousing or storage is not included. These facilities are reimbursed as major equipment. The cost of labor for first and second line maintenance is not included, as these are a part of the normal tasks of military or police personnel responsible for maintaining equipment and reimbursed under either troop or police costs. Wet lease, no changes here. Wet lease is maintenance plus dry lease. Monthly non-United Nations POL. When United Nations can't provide petroleum, oil or lubricants, the troop or police contributors will be reimbursed at standard monthly rate or through a letter of assist for special case equipment. Painting and repainting, no changing here either. Painting of special case equipment will be reimbursed through a letter of assist. We have earlier learned that during initial deployment, the United Nations will only cover transportation costs for 90 days use of spare parts and 60 days of medical supplies. And we know that the troop or police contributors are responsible for transportation of resupply of spare parts, consumables, and minor equipment related to major equipment. To compensate these transportation costs, the monthly estimate maintenance rate under the wet lease rates includes a generic 2% premium for such transportation. In addition, we have the incremental transportation factor, a distance-related increment applied to the maintenance rate for compensate for the transportation of spare parts and consumables of major equipment items. The factor, calculated separately for each contingent in each mission, cover the incremental costs of the transportation of spare parts and consumables. The maintenance rate will increase with 0.25% for each completed 800 kilometers of distance beyond the first 800 kilometers along the shipment route between the port of embarkation in the home country and the port of entry in the mission area. Special case equipment is major equipment for which, because of its uniqueness of the item, its high value, or the lack of generic group, a standard rate of reimbursement has not been defined in the table of reimbursement, the CV Manual, Chapter 8. Special case major equipment should be of a value greater than $1,000, or the collective value of all the items inside the set, and have a life experience of more than 1 year. The value alone should not be determined whether the equipment is treated as special case or not. Of course, there has to be an operational requirement in the statement of unit requirement to create a special case for major equipment. Special case is reimbursed equal to major equipment. The incremental transportation factors will apply. The no-fault incident factor as similar type or category of equipment. The emission factors will apply and will be explained in a later presentation. The troop of police contributors are responsible for providing data of the special case equipment, the value, the lifetime, maintenance costs, etc. Special case items are negotiated together with the Memorandum of Understanding negotiations. If a special case negotiation is delayed, don't let that delay your Memorandum of Understanding process. A special case can be adopted as an amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding on a later stage. We have in this presentation introduced you to the major equipment and all its specialities. Support vehicles reimbursed as commercial pattern or military pattern. Surplus of major equipment to meet the serviceability standards and operational requirements. Major equipment used as self-sustainment. Major equipment under letter of assist. The reimbursement of medical modules. Generic fair market value and its connection to the known fault incident factor, dry lease and maintenance rate. Incremental transportation factor on the maintenance rate and special case major equipment. It is a comprehensive presentation with many details. We recommend you to save a PDF copy of the presentation and use it as a guide document together with the CV manual when discussing possible participation in a United Nations mission. Key takeaway: all troop of police contributors, major equipment, including special case and stand-alone major equipment belonging to a medical module, are listed in the Memorandum of Understanding, Annex B. Generic fair market value and other reimbursement rates are all agreed by the member states and not the Secretariat. Thank you for following this presentation.